Forming an LLC to protect your personal assets is a great first step, but that limited liability protection can fail. There's something called piercing the corporate veil, and if that happens to you, all that protection vanishes. Personal creditors can come after your business assets, and business debts can lead to you losing your personal assets like your house, your car, your savings, everything you own. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 mistakes that can cause this and how to avoid them easily. First, what is a corporate veil? When you form an LLC, you create a legal separation between you and your business. The LLC owns the business assets and is responsible for the business debts and liabilities. You, as the owner, are separate. If someone sues the business and you lose, they can come after your business assets, but they cannot come after your personal assets. That's the veil, the legal barrier that protects you. Piercing the veil is when a court decides that this legal barrier doesn't really exist. They look at how you've been running the LLC and say, this isn't really a separate business. This looks like just you operating under a different name. When that happens, the court removes your liability protection. Creditors can go after your personal assets, your car, your house, your savings. Courts don't do this very often, but when they do, it's usually because an LLC owner made some obvious mistakes that showed that they weren't treating their business as separate. Courts look at a bunch of factors, but 2 stand out as the most common and easily avoidable mistakes. Mistake number 1, commingling funds. Commingling means mixing your business and personal funds using one bank account, or paying for your groceries with your business card, paying for personal bills through your business account, or covering business expenses from your personal account without recording it properly. Here's a real example. An Alabama court pierced the veil of a construction company LLC that only had customer funds in its business account, and the owner was using those funds for her own personal use to buy jewelry, pay for restaurants, and shop at sporting goods stores. Personal purchases with business money. The court said that this is not a separate business. That's just someone using a business name to spend a customer's money. The way to avoid this is simple. Open a separate business bank account for your LLC. Use it only for business income and business expenses. When you do pay yourself, do it properly. Record it as an owner's draw or distribution, not just random transfers. When you put personal money into the business, do it as a capital contribution or a loan with terms. And this is where having a legitimate business address matters. This is especially important if you're a non-US resident forming a Wyoming LLC or a digital nomad or other location-independent entrepreneur. Banks are getting stricter about what addresses they will accept. Virtual offices and mailboxes are being increasingly rejected. Banks want to see a real physical location. Actual office space with a lease. That's exactly what we're building at Micro Office Solutions. Affordable micro offices in Wyoming that strengthen your banking and payment processing applications. It can give you the legitimate US presence that banks are looking for. We're opening Q1 2026. Click the link below to get on our founding client list for priority access when we open. The second major mistake that pierces that corporate veil is not following basic business formalities. One huge advantage of an LLC over a corporation is the simpler paperwork and compliance requirements. You don't need board meetings or extensive record keeping, but you still need to show that your LLC business is a real business and not just a shell. The most important document here is your operating agreement. This is the document that lays out how your LLC is owned and managed. Who makes decisions? How are profits distributed? What happens if someone wants to leave? Many states don't require an operating agreement, but you absolutely must have one anyway. Why? Because courts see it as evidence that you're treating your business seriously. If you don't have one or you completely ignore it, that's a red flag to the court that you're not treating your business as separate. Beyond the operating agreement, LLCs need to follow basic compliance requirements like filing annual reports on time keeping an LLC in good standing. Keep your registered agent address current. If you're using a different business name than what's on your filing documents, consider filing a doing business as or trade name. Sign contracts in your LLC's name with your title, not just as only your name. None of this is complicated or expensive. It's just about being consistent about treating your business as a business. Those are the two most common causes for a court to pierce that veil of an LLC, negating the liability protection that it naturally comes with. And by the way, these same mistakes work in reverse too. If you're commingling funds and you get sued personally, a creditor can potentially come and take your business assets. Courts also look at other less common factors. Undercapitalization is one. Forming an LLC without having the money that you need for foreseeable expenses in the future. If you start a construction company with $50 in the bank and immediately take on a large contract you can't afford to complete, that looks suspicious. Fraud is another big one. If you formed an LLC to dodge existing debts or to deliberately move assets away from a personal creditor, the courts may pierce the veil for that reason. And finally, using business assets for personal purposes. If you're constantly driving the company car for personal errands or using business equipment for personal projects, the courts may see that as having no separation and pierce the veil. All of these come back to the same principle. Treat your LLC business as a separate business, not just an extension of your personal self. The two things you absolutely need to get right are: one, have a business and a personal account and never mix those funds. And two, maintain business formalities, especially having and using an operating agreement. Do these two things consistently and you've eliminated the two most common reasons that courts pierce that veil. It's not hard or expensive. Skipping these steps can cost you the protection that you formed an LLC for in the first place. If you're not sure whether you even need to form an LLC, watch this video next where I break down who should really think about forming an LLC and who cannot afford to skip it.